I almost sold my company for 170 million. Obviously, it didn't work out. But in this video, I'm going to talk with you about the biggest deals that ever exploded in the life of a business owner and what to do about it. That can be people coming and going. That can be customers leaving. This can be investment rounds that don't happen. As a business owner on the roller coaster of building your business, you are faced with so much hardship and so much pain and shit that this just happens all the time. But what to do about the biggest ones, the ones that are like really, really regretful. We're like, fuck, why didn't this work out? This is so painful. What to do about it to still stay sane and not completely lose it and still having a good time. I think such an important topic for every single business owner. So let's go. I want to show you first the deal. This is here all grayed out, but investor agrees to invest 28.5 million in euros. This is $30 million in the company as a primary investment. What does it mean? It goes on the bank account of the company. There's also a secondary investment, which means the money goes into the pockets of the shareholders, including myself, in the amount of 18.5 million euros or $20 million. So we're talking here about a $50 million investment round at a $150 million euro valuation, which is $170 million, okay? It was signed by everyone. And then the only thing that was missing was the due diligence, 6 weeks, and then signing, wire the money, and that's it. I asked the partner of that investment firm how many deals in his personal career happened and how many did not. And he said all the deals happened always. He didn't have a single deal falling through. We knew our numbers. We had a good plan. We had great vibes. We had a structured process. We had so much demand. We picked the investor that we thought is the right one for us. And we went all in. Yep. So why didn't it work out? What did I learn from that? First of all, the signing was crazy. Like the timing was impeccable. Why? I was with my co-founder in Barcelona on his stag do, his bachelor party. And there we were just like ordering drinks. We were there with all his buddies. And instead of having a good time there, we were discussing, checking email, checking the phone. I was on the call, like trying to close the deal. And all the others were like, what the fuck is going on? We're here on the bachelor party. Why the fuck are you guys working? This is ridiculous. Then at about 5 p.m., the sun was setting. I remember that. With the drink in the hand, I was, like on the side, on the other end of the terrace, on the rooftop. And the others were already like partying. I was like, I will take care of this. The thing got signed, the letter of intent. I was like, holy shit. Then we went over to them, told them the news, and that was so good. So we celebrated that. They were all congratulating us, cheering us. This feels wrong a little bit because it wasn't a signed deal, right? The money wasn't on the account. It was a letter of intent, but still. The thing what I took from that, and his buddies some of them are in a band. So they're artists. They're let's say less coming from the business side. And we back then celebrated this, and that was great. Because in my mind as a business owner, I wouldn't celebrate this thing because money's not on the account, anything can happen. And also in my head is always, if, then let's say the due diligence is not probably prepared, if this happened, it will all fall apart. If it all falls apart, that means I have to fire the whole team, I'm getting a divorce, and then I end up under the bridge and I have to beg for money. That's always like the same story, at least in my head. And that's so interesting because it's also my biggest learning from this thing. As a business owner, it is so easy to feel miserable and to take always massive action and to be 24/7 in the head, in the business, to not switch off even at this event and to just, miss a great opportunity to celebrate. And since then, one thing I learned is just celebrate. Even micro celebrations, anything, a new customer, an upsell, someone that didn't leave, a good customer conversation, someone that said something nice about someone in the team. Just celebrate. In the end, people always say, this is about the journey, right? Not the destination to make a ton of money at some point. No, like it's true. It's literally the majority of our lives is this. And if I can't celebrate it, it's going to suck. Yeah, so just celebrate as much as possible. And that is really hard for me. Still is, but I got better. There is the big question, well, why didn't it end up then in the end, right? Because you said almost sold, so you didn't. Yeah, it's true. So here's what happened. I got a call. It was about 2 weeks before they signed the whole thing from the investor. He told me, Matthias, not good news. I don't get the partners behind this deal. And for the first time ever, we have to call it. We're not going to sign this thing. That was shocking. That was shocking. I was at home back then. I completely freaked out. Called my co-founder, called the other investors, told them what happened. And that was just shocking. I think I didn't process it for half a year. I'm still processing it. What happened was 2 things. One is the market changed. It was May 2022. And back then, number one, interest rates exploded. Inflation exploded. Stock market imploded. The comparable, because, investors, they look obviously at this thing as an investment, meaning that if they invest on $150, $170 million valuation, they want to sell it or get another investment then in from another party at 500 million at $1 billion. So how quickly easy is it to get there? That's the thing. If they can get there in 3 years and the chances are really high, then it's a great investment, right? So their comparable companies that they looked at were, for example, Shopify. Shopify was in the hundreds of billions. So Shopify's stock price came down from $170 per share down to $19 per share. And it was in a free fall. It was completely unclear if it will completely tank and that's it, or if it will then bottom up and go up again. And with that, the investors were like, oh, if we don't know if this thing ever could become $500,000 or $1 billion, because there are no other companies out there, even the biggest, much bigger companies are worth then maybe less than what you are worth by then that's not the case anymore. So that was one. And the second reason was that our retention of customers wasn't where it should be. And that makes also some sense because we are serving individual business owners and they start their business and then they get the first customers. And in the nature of any new business owner, is just statistically a very high chance to not make it versus an established business with 100 people, an established business model, customers and all of that, right? It's just a very different risk profile. And because of that, we also have very different retention. And retention is the thing where investors care most about. You always think it's about, let's say, growth and whatnot. And to some extent it is, but it's a given. The thing that they maybe look at is retention, because if you grow like crazy, and you bring customers in, but the customers are leaving, right, which means shitty retention, then at some point you will face a glass ceiling because you will always, let's say, bring in the same amount of customers. If percentage-wise, first you're small, then only a few customers are leaving. If you're big, a lot of customers are leaving, obviously. Then you naturally, of course, bring the amount of people in, equal the amount of people that are leaving, and then you have a glass ceiling. Anyway, so for that reason, good retention, money printing machine worth billions. Think about Slack here, Slack, 28 billion sale because of crazy retention. Shitty retention is worth nothing. So it's all about retention in the end. And that was a question mark. But when I spoke with him, he said just 6 weeks earlier, it would have 100% been a done deal. 100%. It's the first deal that ever fell through. 6 weeks earlier, I can guarantee you the conversation within the investment committee would have been very different. So literally, that's the reason. So, okay, shit. I was shocked. I mean, it was like this. Everything fell apart. The dream for my family to build a house. The thought that this business can become big, that we can become the number one category killer in the market, that the credibility, everything was just felt so destroyed. And I went for a walk back then. I called my co-founder, the investors, to just share it. And what made it really difficult was that back then everything was about growth and retention, right? But like growth was really important for evaluation because you get a multiple of your size, and then it's called LTM and NTM, next 12 months, last 12 months. So what's the growth, what's the size of the business, and then you have the valuation derived from that. And we were pushing hard to grow because back then no one cared about if the company is burning money or not. and I burned $330,000 per month with less than $1 million on the accounts. So with an exploding deal like that, and 60 days, maybe 70 days until we're out of funds, that is quite a stressful situation. So again, back to, in my head, everything falls apart. I'm under the bridge, homeless, and have to beg for money, which then put us into a couple of options. One is I fire everyone, which wasn't an option for me. I wanted to make it happen with the team. We then scaled down the marketing to make it much more profitable, which of course killed the top line growth, killed the revenue growth, but made us more profitable. And with that, we were just able to become break even. And so I negotiated a bridge round with the existing investors, which was crazy because everyone thought after this big investment round, which just was supposed to happen, everyone gets a nice paycheck. What a great company, what a great investment, what a great journey and everything. All of a sudden, everyone had to put money in, including myself, a 6-figure amount. Isn't that crazy? Within like 72 hours from receiving money to we have to put in money. So crazy. I was grateful that we had this conversation and we could then settle on a 3 million round to bump up the bank balance in order to build on a shoestring, obviously, what the company needed to do to fix retention, to not default. And so I think with investors, I have this love and hate relationship. On the one hand, they were really important to save the company. At the same time, these things can happen as with the other investor, right? Where all of a sudden things explode. But then also in this 3 million bridge round, the terms were not really good. We had a liquidation preference, which is next to valuation, one of the really important things where it could be, like someone just puts money in your company, he gets a certain share or stake. But with a liquidation preference, in the most extreme version of it, he could get a multiple back of his investment and have the share in your company. Yeah, so it's double dipping. In difficult times where the company is faced with default, is against the wall, where the interest rates increased, where the whole market is insecure, what actually is happening, these things are common. It's not your company. You cannot make the decisions. Everything is dependent on the investors, which then raises the bigger question, should you have investors or not? Should you work with people or just like stay independent? And now 4 weeks later, after this whole thing exploded, a couple of reflections on this. One is, there will always be these very painful moments where whenever a life-changing situation happens, the investment of your lifetime, you close a customer of your lifetime, anything that could happen, it's going to be big pain, big change, big everything, right? I can guarantee you as a business owner, you will justify it either way, because otherwise you would turn insane and you would still have regrets and you will for the rest of your life just have regrets. And that's not how we tick, right? So with the big round, it would have been fine. Without the big round, it's also fine, because on a shoestring, we were able to create a profitable company, which is worth a lot, instead of hiring more people and burning even more money. That led to more independence. I also now have a total amount of investment in my company, which is really tiny compared to 50 million that would have been, or 30 million that would have been gotten into the company, and the expectation to then grow it up to 500 million, a billion in a short amount of time, when the whole market is changing. And these situations happen all the time. Yes, it was COVID. Yes, it was high interest. Yes, it was high inflation and uncertainty. But what's happening now with AI is exactly the same, right? People think with a couple of prompts you can build your own software, and software is going to die. Either make the decision to go down the investment route, grow as quickly as possible, take money in, sell something with every single round, and then make the company go public or sell it ASAP, or build something sustainable. And both are fine. Both options are fine. Build something sustainable, which is profitable, where you then think about this is like your life's work, where it's about the next generation and the generation thereafter, so that this company really preserves, which is hard as an internet business because the internet is just changing so quickly. But both are fine. Both are fine. Either way is right. Next big learning is these big situations where they are life-changing for you, it's quite easy to become greedy. You think all of a sudden you are the greatest, the best, and money and houses and the family and jets and whatnot. The moment when this mindset sets in, it's a guarantee that it blows up. 100%. Like every single time when I've, in hindsight or also in the situation, felt this way, it just blew up, never worked. But then on the other hand, you have the abundance mindset, right? Where, yeah, everything is abundant and everything is cool, right? Just like give, and karma, it will come back and all of that. That makes total sense. I believe in surrendering to that, and that makes sense. But it's really hard for a business owner because if the bank balance is going down and it's not very high, if payments have to be made, it's just hard. How to do it when it doesn't work? Protecting the company, protecting your life to not end up under the bridge, and also being abundant and having the karma mindset, unconditional giving, is really, really hard. I believe the business owners who make that transition happen to give unconditionally and can make sure that the company is surviving and thriving, yeah, really high chance to succeed with that. Yeah, and then on fundraising, it's the last one. It's just a decision. The moment when you have an external partner that invests in order to get more money out of it, everything changes. It's a different company. If you want to work with people and building something great and they feel like the perfect partner and it's all right, then why not doing it? It's fine. You will not have the freedom that you sometimes wish you would have, which is painful because we want to have total freedom and independence as business owners. But it also unlocks a safety net. It unlocks more fun on the journey with people that you love. So I think there's nothing against it. Are there times where I wish I would not have investors? 100%. 100%. But it is what it is. And so either way, that maybe closes the bracket, either way it's going to be fine. The most important thing is to enjoy the journey. And you know what? And this is so ironic. When I had my first, when my daughter arrived, it was crazy. She had this lactose intolerance. She couldn't drink milk, which is crazy because that's the thing that you drink, right? When you have a baby. She didn't eat well. She was screaming, crying all the time. She was sleeping or crying and she didn't sleep a lot. There was like a lot of crying involved. And then people always came and said, yeah, enjoy the time. I'm like, enjoy the time? What are you talking about? There's nothing to enjoy. It's pure pain. And after some time, I learned, no, it's enjoy the time. Enjoy the time. That means it's an action. It's a proactive decision by myself that I need to enjoy the time. And it's true. Obviously every single time she smiled, yeah, it's beautiful. But then there's just so much pain. Finding ways to enjoy that ride is key to have a great time as a family. And the same is with your business. So it's not about the big paycheck down the road. It's not about then you can like build a house and fly the jet and whatnot. It's actually about the journey. And to enjoy the journey as a business owner is one of the hardest things. But if you can get that done, the paycheck almost doesn't matter. Because that's such a free and fulfilling life. And a life full of personal growth. But it's very hard because 99% of the time, at least for me, I was suffering, I was in pain. And I felt I have to do things in order to get to the promised land. So I think the big story of this one is celebrate. Celebrate watching this video. And watch the next one. Talk soon. Bye-bye.